Thank you so much for watching Riff TV. Now, this interview is obviously with video, but I don't interview everybody on Zoom. That's why I put it on my Talkin' Rock with Meltdown podcast. We talk to rock artists from all over the genre. So check out Talkin' Rock with Meltdown wherever you get your podcasts. And now to today's video interview. Oh, man. Last time I was at your house, I had the best hamburger that I had all day that Jason Knoll cooked for us. So,
yeah, he's pretty good with them smash burger recipes, man. We do that on the road as well. We go off to like a KOA campsite, plug in the bus, and just make burgers.
Yeah, that was the best burger I had in that night.
So, well, at least it wasn't on Broadway, you know.
Yeah, no, that was great. So, first of all, I haven't talked to you since then, at least in this kind of capacity, but thank you for having me. That was great to hang out. I planned on going to your place for just like an hour or two, and I think we ended up hanging out for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours or something, but.
Yeah. I had a good time with you here, though, man. Franklin, Tennessee, we moved here not too long ago, but obviously it's one of the best investments I made. We bought our house like during COVID. That's how we got it so cheap. But anyways, we've lived here, and we sort of base Saving Abel out of this area now, you know, with Nashville being the hub of the, you know, music city and tour buses. And, you know, if I need an extra bass player, I can just make a phone call, you know.
That's what you did, eh?
Yeah, that's what I had to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
we got Matt Dice from All That Remains. He's coming out with us on the next 2 runs, and we also have a guy named Donovan White who plays for the Gin Blossoms and Vertical Horizons. But when he's out with us, I tell him he's Saving Abel.
That's right. Well, he was here last time with you guys back in early July. So you guys are coming back playing this special gig we'll talk about here in a few minutes. But first, you just mentioned before we got on the air and started recording that you were in you guys just played in Mexico. You were texting me about that yesterday.
Well, actually, we went from Indiana to Chicago, and then the whole Mexico trip was my in-laws had been planning to renew their vows forever because when they got married.
I'm sorry.
No. But when they got married, it was at a Saving Abel show. We were in Vegas, and like they ran off real quick while we did the show. Came back, they were married. So for the last 5 years, they've been talking about us going to Mexico, and then COVID happened. So we had to put it off a few years, but eventually we got there. But I was only there for 3 days because Saving Abel, I mean, we're doing some work now. I had to get back real quick.
Okay. See, I thought you were playing because I keep seeing your posts that you're gigging and doing all this stuff. So I thought maybe.
Yeah. Well, that was probably what messed you up because it's like all these Saving Abel shows. Here's Mexico, back to Saving Abel shows.
Right, exactly. So you did play some shows in Wyoming and Indiana and stuff like that, right?
Yes, we did. We also did, is it Wyandotte, Michigan?
Oh, Wyandotte. Well, Wyandotte was, that was back in early July here. Yeah.
That was District 142. We did Wilmington, Ohio as well. That was what I was thinking of, Wilmington, not Wyandotte.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, that was here in Wyandotte. Yeah, you're going to be in Melvindale coming up on Sunday the 20th. That's going to be a really cool gig. That's a place I've never been to before called Parts and Labor Bar. And Allen Road in Melvindale, and it's right down the street from this guy, Freddie the Pizza Man. Maybe we can see if Freddie can stop by.
Hey, that sounds good, man.
Bring a pizza, but yeah. So, anyways, you're just talking about doing work with Saving Abel. What's going on?
Well, you know, obviously we just released Fire a few Fridays ago, and not such a surprise. You know, I'm trying to manifest this here, but it was the number 6 most added song to radio, and for us, which is great, you know, because we put a radio campaign behind this one. Whereas the Baptize Me, the first single we released, we did that all on our own, and it did well, you know, considering. But now that we got our radio campaign and you know, people are playing it, people are asking for it, and we're playing it live, and I actually see people singing it, so it's really a good thing for us, man. It's really getting us a lot more work too, which is what we're looking for.
Right, exactly. So both these songs seem to have like a little bit of a religious connotation. Is that by design or just happenstance or what?
Well, I grew up, you know, obviously in the church. It was sort of a Pentecostal church. Whereas now I'm more of a consciousness, you know, spiritual person. But both of those songs were written during a point in my life, you know, where I was trying to take the power back, trying to take control back over my own life. I mean, that's the reason I had to leave Saving Abel to begin with. You know, I couldn't survive a moment without being high or drunk. With if that's what you do, whoever's listening, you do you. I'm not judging. You make your heart happy.
Yeah.
Those things just weren't serving me anymore, So yeah, so I started writing, and I sort of write about in the moment the things that I'm feeling. And of course, Baptize Me is about taking your power back, and Fire is obviously, I wrote that during the George Floyd / political campaign, that just time period where everybody was confused and mad and angry. I wrote Fire about looking at myself and changing from the inside out, because you got to look at that stuff you don't like, that stuff you're ashamed of, and things like that. But you got to heal with that stuff. So that's what Fire's about. You had everything you needed all along.
So this, I mean, obviously writing songs for you, and this is kind of an obvious statement, though. It's very, it brings out stuff in yourself. It's very therapeutic.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that was one of the coolest things, when I came back to Saving Abel, in the studio writing with Skid and Jason. It was really cool to like discover the passion that I had, when I was 20. The reasons I wrote these songs, the lyrics, the message. And one of the main things writing this album is, yeah, we're the band that's known for, parties and BJs, I guess. But especially with Addicted. But now, it's more of a I mean, I'm on a mission basically, and I really want to help folks. I feel like I'll be a good bridge for the folks that are on this side to this side. And as far as letting people know that they're valuable and they're so worthy of living their life, that's more of my message these days. So I write about the things I know. And being on the journey that I've been on the past few years, these are things that I know.
Yeah. So how much has your life changed since rejoining the band?
Well, I tell you what, I've learned a lot. I know that. I go to therapy and things like that, because it saved my life, honestly. But getting back into the Saving Abel, machine, we had to rebuild the whole foundation. We had to, because they went off for 7 or 8 years and they did their thing while I was here in Nashville. But coming back, it was more of a like a wholesome experience because everybody had to get involved. We had to let go of a lot of things, to make room for the new responsibilities and for the goals that we're trying to achieve. And honestly, I'm really proud of us because the past 2 years that I've been doing it with these guys, every single goal that we have set, we have achieved or exceeded it. And I think it's really important, that I tell the guys that because, affirmations, they need the motivations. And right now, especially with this single, I feel as if, I'm really proud of what we are and who we are and where we've come from.
Yeah, no, that's great. So are you guys a goal-oriented band? Do you guys sit around and say, this is what we want to accomplish?
Well, I am. Yeah. I tend to, because there's stuff about our shows that we want to change and be more cohesive. We want better production. So me and Dave, the drummer, we kind of sit down and we make like a bullet point presentation. And we're like, we want this is next, this is next, this is next. And literally every goal that we have set, we've achieved. And it's, like I said, it's just something that I'm really proud of. Next, this whole year, I told the guys is the reward year for us for all the hard work that we've been putting in the past 2 years. This is the year where, our songs is more on the radio, our guarantees go up, the crowds get bigger, the venues get bigger, and kind of sitting back, watching all that happen. It's really cool for me, to see all that stuff take place because it's like, yes, it was worth it,
So from the time you left to the time you came back, I just asked you about how much it changed your life, but how much of the business changed, and the stuff that you knew to be before and now what it's like now?
Well, I tell you, back when we were touring with Nickelback and Shinedown and Buck Cherry and Avenged Sevenfold, Papa Roach, the business model then is completely different than the business model now. Obviously, I've heard people say, and I slightly agree, but it's like the attention span of people these days. It's like, oh, that's a cool song. What's next?
Right.
So it's kind of like the model. It's like every 4 to 6 weeks, you have to put out a new single, and a lot of artists are doing that. A lot of them, instead of just putting out a whole album, are just releasing singles, which is fine. I like the way Hardy did his album, and Morgan Wallen actually. They released what songs were on the album, but as they released the singles, you could only hear the singles as they were being released. So we're kind of looking sort of as a structure like that for the Saving Abel record, which it'll be out soon. We'll be announcing it probably around the end of September, October. So yeah, it's definitely a new business model, and structure has changed. I can no longer, email people from MySpace or anything like that.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, man, it's just this digital age. It's kind of crazy, because you and I have seen it happen, but my kids are born with iPads in their hands.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll talk about your kids here in a second, but you just mentioned Hardy, so you guys actually have like a little bit of a connection to Hardy.
Man, yeah. I'm a huge. First of all, I'm a huge fan. I love his writing style. I just love his music. But he's also from Mississippi. I was born and raised in Corinth, Mississippi, and my drummer is from Philadelphia, Mississippi, basically.
Right.
And when I first ran into Dave, my drummer, he said, he's like, I went to high school with Hardy. We were in the high school band together, and I was like, are you kidding me? And he's like, yeah. He's like, so we sort of hang out growing up. And recently, Hardy's out doing his stadium tour, or whatever. And recently, one of our drum techs went to work for him. And he went up to Hardy. He's like, hey, do you remember Dave Matthews? And he's like, holy crap. So he grabbed his phone and he called Dave real quick. And he was like, he sent a little video saying, hey, man, I'm so glad you're still playing drums. I'm so glad that you kept doing that. It was really positive, which makes me even more a fan of Hardy right now, because he's a good person. But yeah, I'm gonna run into him one day. We'll get this together. I promise you that.
Yeah, when I was texting with you about that and you told me that story, I thought that they were in a band together, but they were actually in a high school band together.
They were in the high school band together, yeah, like clarinet and saxophone.
Right. Yeah,
Dave said he used to have to hold the cymbals for Hardy, and Hardy would just beat him like right in his face.
That's funny. Yeah, what's the line in the song? I come from a small town named after a big city or something like that.
The town I come from, a small town, it's named after another, is what he says. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
But what a great record that is. You're right about that. So you just mentioned your family, and I of course met your family when I was there back in the springtime. So tell me about, you got little ones. So tell me about leaving to go on tour and trying to maintain that.
I got three little ones. Coda, she's 13 now, but when we first started out, she was raised on a tour bus. And then we had Harper Lennon. She goes by Lenny. She's 10 years old. And then I've got Scout. He's my 5-year-old college frat boy that walks around in his underwear eating pizza.
Is he wearing his headband still?
No, he actually took that off, man. He ended up getting a haircut like his dad. We both got mullets now. It was really amazing. But it's been really fun. I love being a dad. Like, I didn't know it until I had my first kid, but it's something that I always wanted to be, was a dad. And I guess it's because I had an awesome dad, but something I'm grateful for. But we homeschool the kids because we're, sometimes I might have to take them on the road with me or whatever. But yeah, I love the kiddos, man. They definitely keep me busy. Sometimes when I come home from work into the house, it's like decompressing in a pot of boiling water.
That's right. I never thought about it like that before. That's funny. But yeah, the kids big music fans or what?
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm a sap anyways. So like I cry at dog commercials.
Right.
But some of my greatest moments of being a dad is literally sitting in the car listening to them sing my own songs. It's like, no, let's listen to Foo Fighters. They're like, no, we want this. And I'm like, okay, and they start singing, and yeah, it really does. Like, it fills my heart to see that. Yeah, it makes it worth it, like I've had some of those moments where I just like, I'm not crying, you're crying. Yeah,
this car is a little dusty.
Yeah.
Now, being a dad is great. I never steered my kids towards, any kind of music. I always kind of let them discover for themselves. And it turns out my daughter's a huge Hardy fan and a Morgan Wallen fan. And my son's a big Shinedown fan in the whole thing. So you're probably like that too. You don't want to steer.
One of my most favorite moments is with my daughter, Lenny. Sometimes I'll just take you got to spend time with your kids separately as well. And sometimes I'm like, all right, we're going to go do this, but I'm only taking Lenny because it's father-daughter time, and we'll sit around. And I played the Sound of Madness record for her. And I was telling her, because I love Shinedown. I was like, yeah, Brent used to bring me up every night to sing this song with him. She's like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, but I bet you'll really like this one. And I introduced her to Monsters. I introduced her to The Crow and the Butterfly, and those are two of her favorite songs.
Yeah.
So to be there and plant the seed of that, and she actually listens to them, when I'm not around as well. She loves the Talking Heads as well. I swear she was born in the wrong generation.
Yeah, it's cool to share that musical stuff with your kids, especially taking them to concerts, give them special events like that.
I think it's awesome when I see kids at the show, and I always commend the parents for bringing them. I mean, I think it's really important for kids to see the power that music has when a whole group of people come together. Like, you can feel it in the air. It's amazing, and I just think it's important for kids to know that. My son Scout, actually, he's been to a few of my shows, and he's always wanted to run out stage with me. He was only 3 at the time, so he didn't really understand. But as the years gone by, the new music video for Fire, he's in the video with me. So it's kind of cool that, I got to be in that little, I was like, you don't have to be serious. You just scream at me, but you're not really yelling at me. And he's like, I don't get it. So, you're trying to coach him through the acting, like as if I know how to act. But it was really cool. And now sitting back watching the video with him, I can tell he was like, man, that's pretty cool, Dad, that we had that moment, or at least it was for me.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. That's something that'll live on forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Digitally.
Yeah, digitally. That's right. So, you guys, like I said, are coming through town here next Sunday, I think, as I record this right now on the 20th of August. Are you guys playing some shows around?
Tell you what, I'm not actually sure what we're doing when we get there. I know we have your show. A lot of these days are running together for me, really, especially with 3 kids and having to do a bunch of flying. But we definitely we were booked completely until September, and then we're doing some radio kind of tours for the single Fire during September, and then once October hits, we're looking at a 6-week run for different regions, Northeast, Midwest. 2 weeks apiece, and we're going to have different bands out with us on those runs. And then November, we're going to be releasing a new single. So, you got to keep them coming as well. We'll finish out the year, and then we'll start right back up in January. So, I've been out of Saving Abel, not working so much, and now that I'm back, it's like, sure, let's go.
Yeah, it's time to get it on. Hey, before we started, you were talking about bucket list bands. So, who are your bucket list bands you want to see?
My bucket list bands, number 1 would be Metallica.
You've never seen Metallica, huh?
I've never seen them. The closest I've ever come to seeing Metallica is when they released their movies. That movie they had like 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Eddie Mead, we went to New York City and we watched it in the IMAX theater. And it was like amazing. Like, it was completely surrounded by it. But that's the closest I've ever been to seeing Metallica. I've seen Tool and I've seen Perfect Circle. I've done shows with festival shows with them. And my other band would be the Foo Fighters. I've never seen Dave Grohl, and I've always wanted to see like his energy and what he carries. In fact, they played the Ryman probably 7 or 8 years ago, and I had to miss out on that show here in Nashville. But Foo Fighters, I'm a huge fan, and I'm really glad that they're still touring, after the late Taylor Hawkins death. But Foo Fighters and Metallica are my first 2 that I'd like to see.
I can't believe they played the Ryman. That's what
they did. It was Blake Dixon, Saving Abel's very first original drummer.
Yeah.
Nashville's only 3 hours from where we grew up. So he came up one day and he was like, hey, man, I'm going to see the Foo Fighters at the Ryman tonight. What are you doing? And I was like, I had something else I had to do. But I was like, they're playing at the Ryman? He's like, yeah. And I was like, holy crap. Like that would be the time for me to see it,
Right. Exactly. Well, I wonder if they played 3 hours that night as well, because that's
probably
like
so.
MO. Yeah.
Probably so.
What a great front man too, and he plays guitar. He does all that kind of stuff. He's just that's a pretty good bucket list. I've seen them, I think 2 or 3 times, perhaps. I'm not sure.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to catch up with you then, brother.
I saw him the one time when he broke his leg and he played on the throne.
On the chair? Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah,
that was cool, man.
that was really sweet to watch a guy.
I would like to see Guns N' Roses too, but whenever they play here, it's either a stadium like the Nissan Stadium, or I believe you said earlier that they're coming soon, and they'll be in the new soccer arena stadium, which is beautiful. But
well, you never know. I like your wife a lot, so maybe I'll see if I can get her.
She's hard not to like, though, man.
No.
I've seen Slash play. With Miles Kennedy, but never seen Axl on stage. And I remember as a kid, like that red hair flying across the stage and the November Rain video. So, I'd definitely like to see them as well.
I think I saw Guns N' Roses for the first time on that Metallica tour in 1992.
So you saw Metallica and Guns N' Roses
Same night.
2 out of my 3.
Yeah, that was
my wife's got that shirt, actually, the Guns N' Roses and Metallica tour shirt.
Yeah, I saw that. That was 31 years ago this summer.
Oh.
And then I saw Axl's Guns N' Roses in Las Vegas at the Joint one night, which was killer. I think he showed up around midnight. And,
oh yeah. So
yeah, the show went to like 3 o'clock in the morning.
I remember watching videos on the internet from those shows. Yeah, he still sounds great too. It's like unreal.
Yeah, I saw him here. I saw him here twice on this the stadium tour. They opened up their stadium tour here, and
wow.
I say 2016 was their first stadium tour. And not to bore you with my life, but when Slash and Duff ran out on the stage and Axl ran in the middle, my buddy I brought with me, 6'6", like 350 pounds, bear hugged me. He couldn't believe we were seeing this. That's how much of an impact.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Like I just now remember this. I told you all the days run together. But I did a show once with Duff McKagan. He was doing his solo thing, and I had my wife and our little dog Mohawk. He was a little Yorkie. But I was walking Mohawk, and Duff came up, and he was just such a nice, like, genuine person.
Yeah.
Asked if he could pet the dog. He picked him up, and he held that dog for nearly an hour and a half. Like, wherever me and Nikki went, he would just follow us, petting Mohawk. But he was such a nice person. So yeah, I've got to see Duff and Slash, but I want to see them together,
Yeah, performing together. Well, we're going to see you up here performing with the guys coming up, like I said, Parts and Labor Bar, Allen Road in Melvindale. That's on the 20th. Anything else you want to plug? Did we miss anything? Anything else you...
Yeah, well, let's see. I've already talked about we got the video for Fire coming out really soon.
Yeah, I see the
Yeah, the one I was talking about with Scout that he's in. So you can check out his acting debut. And obviously I talked about the tour that we're going to be putting together in October. So yeah, man, I mean, we've definitely got our path laid out, and it's just time to get to work. I'm pretty excited about it though, man.
Well, that's great. Well, you know what? I've told you this before, but it bears repeating, of course. I'm glad to see you back in the band. Glad to see you doing so well. And
Thanks,
you really got all your stuff together, man. So I'm proud of you.
Man, thank you, brother. It's been a lot of hard work, and in the beginning it is sort of annoying, but the more you do it, those old habits are replaced with good habits, and it becomes easier. So each and every day I'm just trying to be a better version of myself.
That's all you can ask for. It's all you can do, right?
Right.
I'm not sure if I'm crazy about your white coats and stuff, but outside.
Oh man. Well, I got that for the baptized video, and I'm like, I'm never gonna wear this again. And I was like, look, just put patches on it. So I patched it all up,
Nah, I'm just teasing you. That's great. So, well, listen, man, I can't wait to hang out with you again coming up next week. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much, brother.
Meltdown. Love you guys, man. And I'll see you soon, brother.